trouble with communication is it's easier, we think, than it actually is. Well, I just tell you. I talk to George and I tell George something and George gets the message. Except George doesn't get the message because maybe the way I've said it isn't actually clear enough about what I'm saying. And maybe what he's hearing isn't actually what I'm saying because there are these filters. So I say something, it gets filtered, he hears something different, gives me an answer, it gets filtered, and then I hear something different of what he meant. And some of those common filters are things like assumptions, like very classic, if I said, okay, I'll meet you at Starbucks at Roppongi Hills. How many Starbucks are there at Roppongi Hills? There's 3. There's 3. Yeah, we're all standing around the different Starbucks waiting for each other because we've assumed it was that one. I just said, I'll see you at Starbucks, but I wasn't clear. This is a very simple example that we're making assumptions about what this person knows. One of my team often will start a conversation with me about something and I have to stop her and I say, what is the subject of this discussion? Because she's got it in her mind and she's sort of kicked it off down here somewhere and I don't even know what we're talking about. What's the topic? So again, she thinks she's being clear because she's assuming I'm on the same wavelength as she is. Are you doing the same with your team? Are you assuming they're on the same wavelength as you, be it your sales team or be it your sales leader? And then, of course, other things like viewpoints. You have a different attitude to things. Your expectations are a bit different. And we've got things like, the context of relationship. How well do you get on? How's the power structure in the office? And then emotional baggage. You may have had a disagreement with this person in the past. So it may colour the way you say things. It may colour very much the way they hear things. What you think is just a piece of information, they see as a personal attack. You're finding fault with me. Oh, you're talking about my shortcomings. You're not talking about their shortcomings from your viewpoint, but that's how they're hearing it. So clarity in what we say becomes even more important. And also, as we see here, our ability to actually listen becomes very critical because if I'm not saying it clearly and you're not very good at hearing it and listening to it, we've got a really big communication problem, which then gets back to that relationship build, the trust build, buying into the vision that I mentioned before in the communication tower, the leadership tower. So when we look at this, are we actually stuck at the bottom? Are we really listening? Now, I've worked with colleagues, and I'm going to make a broad generalization here. Younger generation colleagues tend to be fantastic at multitasking. So while you're having a conversation, they're writing their email or powering through the keyboard, and somehow they're listening to you, and they're doing this at the same time. Well, are they really listening? Or what about selective listening? When you're very busy, you've got to control exactly how much you take in. So are you just cutting out a lot of stuff and only listening for what you think is relevant? And what are you missing? And what about salespeople too? Salespeople can have selective hearing about positive buying signs, right? And so they're focusing on that. So their hearing is very selective. They're missing what's not being said. They're missing the body language, or they're missing the message because they've made some assumptions about what's going on between the speakers. And so this is where we get a problem. How do we get to attentive and empathetic listening? This is not so easy. It's concentration, and it's wanting to really listen. And I know myself, I'm very busy. People come and talk to me. I have to stop what I'm doing completely and look at that person. But you think about a lot of conversations we have in business where we don't even get the eye contact. You're having a conversation, they're looking at the screen or they're looking at some paperwork and they're giving you an answer. That's not what I'd call highly effective listening. So think about that. Are your salespeople really listening carefully to exactly what the client's saying, what they're not saying, or not? Do they have those skills? Are you coaching those skills? Are you role modeling those skills yourself in the way you interact with the team?